Hello everyone. In this video I'd like to present a solution to one of the challenges that MIT Solve is proposing to solvers this year, and I chose the challenge of teachers and educators. So first I'd like to show three quotes. The first one is from MIT Solve challenge description, which says, instead of thinking that technology and digital tools will usurp and replace educators, how can technology amplify the work of teachers, support new educators and learning facilitators, and help them bring better quality education to their students? The next one is from the World Bank development report that says, to take learning seriously, start by measuring it. It's worth mentioning that the World Bank this year actually devoted its entire World Development report on education. So they listed the main messages. Everyone in education right now agrees that there is a so-called learning crisis. A lot of effort has been deployed in terms of trying to get kids in schools, but evidence shows that there is a problem in terms of learning itself. And the three main policy action to address is the first one is assess learning to make it a serious goal. And so here in chapter 4 they titled to take learning seriously, start by measuring it. And there's a sentence here that says, education systems have little systematic information on who is learning and who is not. As a result, it is impossible to generate an impetus for action, let alone plan. Now, the third quote that I'd like to share is from Global Partnership for Education blog called Ensuring Learning Data Matters. A fundamental question we need to stop and ask ourselves is, does a learning assessment matter if nobody understands or even reads the report? The challenge is assessment data is not used to inform policy, and there is even less evidence that large-scale assessment data has an impact on teaching and learning policies at the school and classroom level. So what I'd like to do is actually propose answers and address this issue right at once. So, technology amplifying the work of teachers, learning and measuring it, and then also propose a solution that will actually bring answers to this. And so the solution I'd like to propose is actually an app that looks like this. And so this is the main functionality of the app. It is titled Math Proficiency Predictor, and it actually predicts the score of an assessment test if a student would actually take the test itself. And this is what the numbers, that the data that needed in order to predict the score. So I'll mention a little bit more, I'll explain a little bit more later, but for now I'm going to explain what was done in order to get this app. So for that, let me introduce you to this organization called Confirmand. Confirmand runs a program called PASEC, and PASEC is actually a program that actually conduct assessments, math and reading assessments to students in few countries, mainly in Western Africa, but including Madagascar, and also a few countries in Asia. And all of these countries actually are actually using the French language for teaching. So and so they they have students taking tests and also conduct surveys to the students, the teachers, and the school directors. And so the result of this assessment survey is actually made available to the public. The data from this is made available to the public. So I took the data from Madagascar. I chose Madagascar because I was Minister of Education in Madagascar before, for almost 4 years. And so this data has over 600 rows or features and about 3,100 columns. So which means that about 3,100 students participated in the assessment. And so that's just a sample of students, and these are being given to students at the end of their primary school. And so, and over here is the score of for math and reading, and the rest is the answers to the questions of the survey. And towards the end, there are some indices. Okay, as I said, there are about 600 features in here. So the first challenge in building the app was to cut down the number of features to a level where to a number which is much more useful. And so for that, I was able to go from 600 to 15. So and then I built a model for both of them, for all features and for 15 features, and they actually perform very closely in terms of the accuracy of the predictive capacity of each model. So the accuracy of each model is about 80%. One is 80.35 with 15 features, and the other one is 80.5 with over 600 features. So, which means that we could just ignore all of the other features. These are the most important ones. And once I got this, and then I built the model using machine learning. Python is a language, and the algorithm is actually called XGBOOST, which is one of the the better performing algorithm that is winning quite a few competitions. But I chose it because it's appropriate for the data. And so once a model was built, and I inserted that into an app. And so I built the app. This is the version here is iOS. And iOS has a tool called the CoreML that makes it a bit easier to insert a model into an app. And the result of all of that is this app here. Now, let me explain a little bit about these features. So the first one is called a short for teacher perceived working condition, student perceived studying condition, number of girls, number of boys, school pedagogical resource, teacher pedagogical resource, seniority of school director, province, number of province. There are 6 provinces in Madagascar. social and economical situation of students, days off for a teacher, location of schools, whether it's a rural or area, number of years of practical training for a teacher, age of the students, initial number of years of training for a teacher, and whether or not the student repeated a class before the end of a primary school. And so, and then it's very easy to use as we move with we choose these numbers. Then what we see is we actually see a change to the number down here. Sometimes it is a yes, sometimes it is a no. And this is, as it's mentioned here, it's predicting the score for math proficiency, whether the score would be above 500 or not. So 500 is a number that I chose. I chose it because it's above the average for the data that was the scores of students, and the average was 478. And so, and down here, if this number goes above 0.5, then it's a yes. And if it's less than 0.5, then it's a no. That's all we need to know in terms of how to use this app. It's very easy, and yet I believe this is very useful. Now, in terms of the order of these features, the order here is actually in order of importance, and by that it's that was actually determined by the machine learning algorithm, and so this the one the teacher perceived working condition is the most important, has the most weight. As we go to the right, the importance decreases, and also as we go down, it decreases a bit more as we go down, and so that's how these were chosen for each row. And so, for example, if I'm in province of Antananarivo, I'm 15 years old. My teacher had a 5-year of initial training, and I'm in an urban area, so these conditions are pretty high. Number of boys, number of girls, and so it's predicting that it's likely that I would actually get the score about 500. So this is to me is as I said, is actually answering the three questions that I mentioned at the beginning. Technology amplifying the work of teachers. It starts by measuring, learning, assessment, and also the fact that assessment is not used to inform policy. It's because they're not actually reached. The report of these assessments are a document that looks like that actually looks like this, and I believe the target of this document is just not teachers or even school directors, but mostly policymakers, and even that, I hardly believe that a lot of people will actually read this, yet alone apply to shape future policies, especially at the school level. That's for a country like Madagascar, the difference between the ministry, a school can be 100 kilometers away from the next, than the closest education office, and so that's how challenging it is to actually manage the education in Madagascar. But I believe that's where this comes in. because this can not only help teachers with their students knowing a better reality in terms of proficiency, and these are international level proficiency, so they have a better idea of where the students stand. The app is standalone, so there is no need for permanent internet connection to use it, and so which means that people anywhere with a smartphone and able to download and install the app can use it just anywhere. And I believe that's where it's bringing really a positive importance to, especially to remote areas, and where mostly the teachers are most of the time being isolated. So with teachers and school directors, they can actually gather around the app, or use the app, and just talk and try to figure out what's a reality of school and what it is that they can do in terms of increasing the proficiency of the students. Of course, there's a limited limit in what you can do, but with a number of parameters or features, hopefully can actually do something in terms of improving and trying to, the bottom line is trying to increase the level of proficiency of students, which is the main concern for everybody around the world right now in terms of especially at the developing countries. And so and with this also, I can see policymakers in local, regional, or central policymakers at the ministry level using the app, trying to again get more close, I'd say more precise information about what the reality at the school level is. And because usually that's not the case, policies are being built top down most of the time, and policymakers don't always know the reality at the school level. And so this, I believe, will definitely help anyone working on policies. And in the meantime, that would also increase the quality of the planification that is being done in terms of allocating budgets, and so it's really an overall improvement that the app can bring, if it is being used appropriately. So and so this is of course country specific. This is built for Madagascar, but as long as there's data available, then a similar app can be built to any country, and which has a potential of affecting millions of kids around the world. Just for this country alone, there are already, and these are all developing countries, so the impact that the app will bring, I believe, will be significant. And in terms of the finishing the app, there's a little that needs to be done. Just build the language proficiency predictor, which is almost the same as this one, and with also perhaps needs to insert explanation on what these are. But once they are understood, they're just mostly self-explanatory. So, but it is right now. It's already at the way the level it is right now. It's already usable for anybody in Madagascar. And I also already have it installed in my phone, so it's not just running on this simulator, but it's already on my phone, and it's working the way it is supposed to be. That's it. The name of the app is LearnProML, for learning proficiency based on machine learning. My name is Adza Razafin Zatuf. Thank you very much for watching.